Hello. Thanks for taking a beat. My name is Katie, and I'm a licensed therapist and coach who helps people feeling stressed and overwhelmed to create more balance and fulfillment in their lives. Today's episode is an interview with Josh Daniel, a retired military service member with more than 20 years in special operations. Today, Josh runs two organizations close to his heart, Hero Games Charity and Counterculture Solutions. In this episode, Josh shares his experience navigating the challenges of military life, his transition from a decades-long career in the military into civilian life, what he thinks makes a good leader, and how he is now following his passion and following through on a vision to give back to others. I hope you enjoy the interview. So welcome, Josh. Thanks so much for joining today. It's a pleasure to have you on.
Yeah, thank you, Katie. I'm super excited.
So I'm wondering if you could talk a little bit about your experience in the Army and then what that transition out was like for you.
Yeah. So I retired in March after almost 21 years in the Army, all special operations. So I began my career in the 75th Ranger Regiment, which is America's premier direct action force. Their job is to move quickly to a location and destroy the enemy. I spent 5 years there, and I actually joined the Army in 11th grade. I was 17. The war in Iraq kicked off, and I just wanted to be a part of it. So went to the recruiting station, joined, I think, about 2 weeks after turning 17. And then made my way into the Army. Of course, I was not equipped. I was obviously very young and not very strong. I was fast, I weighed like 130 pounds, and I had a lot of people telling me that it wasn't going to work out, but it did. So the first big obstacle outside of basic training, airborne school, where you learn how to jump out of a plane, was the Ranger Indoctrination Program. So this was 4 weeks of preparing you to serve within the 75th Ranger Regiment. I made my way to 1st Ranger Battalion in January 2005, and then I was in Baghdad by August and did my first of 7 combat rotations. I proceeded to spend another 5 years there, went from private to squad leader. And then in 2010, I transitioned to Special Forces, and then a subsequent 1.5 year pipeline to become a Green Beret. And then moved on to 7th Special Forces Group, where I spent the rest of my career. And got to see Iraq and Afghanistan a few more times. Also got to go to South America, El Salvador, Uruguay. I've worked with Chileans, Colombians, just lots of amazing people, amazing experience. I never thought that I would make it to retirement. I just turned 39 and I'm retired, and it feels insane. Now I have a company called Counterculture Solutions, where it's essentially taking my experience and transferring it to my clients in a variety of ways. And we also have a nonprofit that we started back in 2017, which hosts Special Operations Gold Star families here in Bedford, Virginia. Once a year, we throw a big fitness competition in honor of their lost service member. And that's just been super fulfilling. So aside from that, I'm a father of 4. I've been married for 19 years, and I'm homesteading up in the mountains. We're turning into chicken farmers, and we got a lot going on, but we're really happy.
So it sounds like you were surprised yourself that you made it to retirement.
Oh yeah. I mean, I lived those almost 21 years, weeks at a time. It was a series of weeks compiled into 21 years, where it was, hey, we're gonna get through these set of weeks, or these set of months on this next deployment, which is why we lived with such urgency. I married my wife 10 months after meeting her, and I spent half of that time at Ranger School. So I didn't even, I don't even know that we knew each other, but I knew that when I commit to things, they work. And I was fortunate to have met someone that was the same.
I guess what helped you, I'm guessing you had to learn to train your mindset in certain ways to make it through your Army career. Are there things that, you're willing to share, or strategies that you learned along the way that you think were really helpful?
Yeah, I think that one of the first things is what I alluded to regarding commitment. So a lot of people think that commitment just comes naturally and it's easy. I mean, people really do, despite what they may say, people really think that committing to something is easy. That's why they're surprised when they fail. And so the biggest thing regarding commitment, we talk about it all the time, and I share it with my mentoring clients. I shared it when I was a team sergeant in charge of a special forces team. It's about being on the team. So whatever you're doing, you commit to being on the team. You can fail. You can fail every single day. As long as your commitment is to the team and you have no intention of ever leaving the team, you're here, right? And so that's something that I learned over that time period was, this is horrible. I went through so many horrible times. I mean, I'm talking about really dark periods where there was no light, but my commitment never wavered. And that was just, okay, I'll take another step. Whether you're in selection and you're going, hey, things aren't going well right now, I could quit. I could keep going and still fail. No, my commitment is here. My commitment will not waver. I may fail, but it's not going to be because I failed to commit. So I'm taking the next step and the next step and the next step. And that's what I did for 21 years in every aspect of my life. I took the next step, and sometimes I didn't know what the next step after that would be. I didn't know what the path looked like. I had no idea. So that was critical in getting through those difficult times.
How did you, comfort yourself or get yourself through that period where you were taking steps, but you couldn't see the path in front of you? I mean, that's difficult.
Yeah. So one of the frameworks that we use at Counterculture is the 8 dimensions of wellness. And I really believe in the 8 dimensions of wellness. So I look back on that, and what got me through those difficult times was a mixture of the 8 dimensions. But I think the first one was social. My social circle was everything. My wife, my parents, my brother, I was able to lean on them through those tough times. When I wasn't able to lean on them, say I was deployed and I had no phone access, that was many times. When I did not have connectivity with my social circle, it was spiritual. I prayed. I leaned on God. And, that's a whole deep rabbit hole there to talk about, but it was my social circle. It was my spirituality, the physical wellness, going to the gym, eating well, all of that was critical. So those are the 3 things that really stand out.
I mean, it sounds like you're pretty mission driven as a person. How did you, when you transitioned out of the military, how did you create a mission for yourself now?
Yeah. I mean, life is a mission for me. There's no time to be idle. I have no interest in not pursuing something, right? So we started Hero Games back in 2017 out of necessity. I was in a difficult place emotionally. At that point, I had 6 combat rotations and had just been through a lot. Had lost a lot of friends. And Hero Games gave me an opportunity to give back to the family members of my buddies. And that was so healing. And it heals me to this day every year, right? And so that just kind of fell into place out of necessity. It was just, or maybe serendipity, it was just meant to be, right? with counterculture, last year I was sitting there, I was about a year away from retirement, and I always knew that I would start my own business. I told my family when I came back here, because my brother and his wife own a CrossFit gym. I said, I want to be a janitor at your gym, and I'm going to start my own business doing whatever I want. And so I'm not the janitor. They promoted me. I'm a coach there. So I go coach at the CrossFit gym a couple times a week. Dude, I did that to help my brother and his wife through their first childbirth, and it has been so healing for me. It's helped my transition so much because I've been around some very serious, strict, not so kind people for a long time. So transitioning and being exposed to a really cool, tight-knit, personable community has been amazing. But so, I'm not a janitor. I was able to exceed that expectation. I coached there, and that's nice. But starting my own business and being able to give value to people based on what I've been given, because I've been given experience and opportunity. So I'm going to take that and I want to share that. But I also don't want to do it in a capacity where it consumes me. I am retired. I want to wake up at 8 o'clock in the morning some days. That's exactly what I'm going to do for the rest of my life. But I also want an avenue to be able to give back. And that's counterculture. So yeah, last or 2 Super Bowls ago, I'm sitting there watching the Super Bowl. It was a horrible game. And I'm like, hey, all right, we're starting a business right now. So I got on my laptop and I formed my LLC, got the name, brought the team together from Hero Games. It's the same team that created counterculture. Back to that social circle. I've built a social circle that I can really depend and rely on. And so they helped me build it. And I really believe that if you build the framework, all of the details, they fall into place. I didn't have to spend 5 years thinking about what this business would be. I built my circle. I expanded my own capability, and then it naturally fell into place.
Can you talk a little bit about what counterculture is and also what Hero Games is?
Yeah. So let's start with Hero Games. Right now, we are less than 45 days out from hosting the family of Private First Class Eric Hario. I did not personally know Eric, but he was in the same unit as me. I was actually transitioning out of the unit and moving to Special Forces when he was killed in action. He was killed in action in 2009 in Afghanistan alongside one of my friends, Jason Dalkey. Now, we honored Jason Dalkey 2 years ago, and that was fantastic, man. And being able to build a relationship with Jason's surviving widow and his family, and it was incredible. And that's just one example of how it gives back to us. Not that we're doing it for ourselves. This isn't about us. And we live that to the point where we don't pay anyone within the organization. We've been running since 2017. I don't know, we probably take in about $30K a year in sales and donations, and that runs the organization, runs the Hero Games. We never pay ourselves. We never will. So we're going to receive that family. We pay for everything. For them to get here, we pay for their bed and breakfast, nice rental, flights. We stock the B&B with a bunch of food based on exactly what they want. We decorate it. We have gifts from the community. And then we have a big team party when they arrive. We put a brick in the National D-Day Memorial in honor of their fallen person. The National D-Day Memorial is here in my hometown of Bedford, Virginia, because Bedford, Virginia lost more boys per capita on D-Day, specifically Omaha Beach, than any other town in the country. Yeah. Bedford, we've done our part. So lay a brick in there, and then Saturday we have this big fitness competition. But yes, the term competition is there, but what we provide is an opportunity for people to come out and experience just a taste of special operations training and mission. It's a physical event. It's 6 teams of 12 people, and they compete against each other. It takes about 6 to 7 hours. It's continuous. It's not a CrossFit competition. So they're out there wearing rucksacks and experiencing the whole thing. In fact, if you really want to see, your audience, what I'm talking about, go to YouTube, find our channel, type in Hero Games origin story. I swear you'll be sold. It's incredible. And then we record a podcast the next day. And so we record a podcast with the family the day after the Hero Games. So they get an opportunity to tell the story of their son. Eric was 19. He was on his first combat mission. I look forward to that, to that episode with that family. And then we send them home the next day and we maintain a relationship. We have repeat families that we've honored in the past that come back every year. And so back to that social circle, it grows every year, and it's just been immensely healing for everyone involved.
And what made you want to start that?
Admittedly, I came home, I was about to deploy to Afghanistan, and I came home and I challenged my brother and his wife. I was like, hey, CrossFit is whack, dude. I bet your people cannot do more than 30 minutes of movement. They're going to die. Like, let me put them through something. And they loved it. Bunch of sadists, dude. They loved it. It was cold, it was rainy, it was muddy, and they loved it. And so, all right, well, you got me on that. So I deployed. I came back home. I was like, hey, let's do that again. And I don't think we had any vision for it. I think it was about that social circle, me doing things with the people that I love and care about. And we did it again, and it grew. And then one of my company mates died. And we said, well, hey, we're about to do this event. Why don't we charge people a small fee, and then we'll take that money and give it to his wife. And so we did. We mailed her a check, and we didn't hear anything from her, and we didn't expect to. But she had just lost her husband, They had 4 kids, and it's just tragic. But about a year later, we got a letter in the mail from her, probably after the fog of loss kind of lifted. She wrote us a letter, and it was probably the catalyst to this whole thing. And we were like, okay, dude, what we're doing is way beyond Josh thinking CrossFit is whack. It's way beyond that. So the next year we were very intentional, but it was also 2020, and we lost our venue. We had everyone telling us, don't run it. You can't run it this year. You can't. And we were like, dude, look, number one, it's an outdoor event. We'll take precautions, but we're going to do it. And we did, and it grew. It probably grew 10 times that year. It was incredible, the amount of growth that we found in a year where it was not even supposed to happen. So we honored Sergeant First Class Rodriguez that year. And that was the first year that we brought a family member here. We brought his wife here, Ronnie, and she's amazing. And that's kind of how it started and grew into what it is now.
And then how did Counterculture Solutions kind of grow out from that then?
Yeah, that's a beautiful question. You nailed that. Because it did. It actually did grow out of Hero Games. And again, back to things falling in place when you lay the framework. We have done all sorts of fundraisers for Hero Games. We have no big donors because we don't want to give any large donors a say in what we do. And they will always ask for something. So everything is quite organic, but it's a lot of money to raise. So we were in 2021, we were going, hey, what what's a way that we can raise money with our skills, our capabilities? And you're looking around at a bunch of Rangers and Green Berets and MARSOC Raiders, and you're like, oh, well, we've all been to SEER school, survival, escape, resistance, and evasion. We can teach those skills, not the classified skills, but how to start a fire, how to purify water, those things. We can teach those skills to civilians and charge them money, and then take that money, and that's our donation towards Hero Games. So we did. We ran a bunch of survival courses up in the mountains here in Bedford. We ran them for kids, adults, and those things were special. They were special because what we realized was people were not there to learn how to start a fire. I don't know that anyone came to learn how to start a fire. They can go to YouTube and do that in their backyard. People were there because they wanted to be around us because they saw value in us, and they wanted to give to Hero Games because it was all under Hero Games. We marketed it under Hero Games. And so people came out, and we had amazing experiences up in the mountains. People were opening up about things that had been bothering them for years, and that was not even the intent. But when you're sitting around a fire at night, you know, because it was a 24-hour course and it's cold and we're all like, you start talking. And we continued to run those. And at some point I said, this is great, but Hero Games cannot expand beyond our primary focus. It just can't, because that could start to take away from our true mission. But it kind of sparked something in me of there are skills that we possess that can translate over. In fact, one of the individuals that came to one of our survival courses in 2021, he's one of my mentoring clients now. So like it's all tied. So that we kind of put that on the back burner, and then, like I said, sitting there watching the Super Bowl and formed Counterculture, and now we run similar courses. We've not run any true survival courses yet because the mission here is a little different. This is more about providing purpose and helping people adjust their mindset. It's more about that than skill development. Mm-hmm. Right? Like I don't really care if my whole community knows how to create a great Dakota fire hole. Like that's cool, right? That's a bonus. But if I can help adjust the way that people view life, that's going to make an impact. So that's really the mission. And we do that through a bunch of different ways that we can discuss.
Well, it sounds like you do individual mentoring and coaching, and maybe even some group work as well.
Yeah, so we do one-on-one mentoring, which has been awesome because it's a beautiful opportunity to directly impact individuals' lives, but also, man, you grow so much when you share the things that you know and where you test them against people that are really going to put it into action. You want to talk about solidifying a concept or an idea, go share that with someone who's about to put it through, you know, some of the most difficult days or months of their lives. Like, okay, yeah, it does work, right? It didn't just work for me, it works for them too. So we really enjoy that. We run treks up in the mountains. So we've run the Purpose Trek. This is a group of people, we 16 and older, a single day in the mountains with myself and our operational psychologist. She's amazing. She was actually an operational psychologist in Special Forces. Our paths had crossed previously, but we never knew it. And I ran into her at the CrossFit gym. So we run a Purpose Trek where we take people into the mountains and we help them discover why they're here. Some people, it might be getting through a rut. It's typically a lot of young people who are kind of floating around like they're working a job, but they really don't have it figured out. at all, right? None of us have it truly figured out, but they're missing a lot of the important pieces. And that's been awesome. We also are about to execute a course called The Weight We Carry. It's a trek in the mountains, but it's just men. And it's about what it means to be a man in today's society. And, we have a framework for that, but a lot of this is just discussion from a lot of companies with like these crucibles, taking men up into wherever and rolling them in sand and degrading them and all this crazy stuff. Like, that's helped me develop my framework for like what I'm not going to do. Right. And so it's really a lot of discussion. It's about being around good dudes, doing something difficult. It's a simulated mountain rescue mission. So they also walk away with some skill development as well. So those are the treks that we have right now. We're going to put together a youth trek in the future. We're waiting for the weather to break so these kids don't go down as heat casualties.
So it sounds like it's both mental and physical stamina, development essentially, and then community building.
Exactly. So I took Maslow's hierarchy of needs. The base of the triangle is the individual, right? And you have to find yourself in some form of stability before you can ever project outwards. So the first thing is self-development. We have to find some form of homeostasis within ourselves. Again, we use the 8 dimensions of wellness as the framework. When we get past that, now we're moving up, in this triangle. We believe that not only should you, but you have an obligation to give back. Through that giving back, you're now creating a community that is developed and optimally prepared, whether that's spiritually. We're not a church, so we read some Bible verses in the mountains because, man, I love what Jesus did, but I also love Stoicism. Stoicism has saved my life, so we get a little philosophical as well up there, but it's about the development of the individual and then the development of the community for, this optimally prepared and capable and happy environment.
Well, I think this kind of touches on, I know you talk a lot about leadership and the importance of effective leadership. How would you define good leadership, or what makes like an effective leader?
Yeah. An effective leader has to have charisma, number one. Presence is important. I don't care if you possess every leadership skill in the world. If you don't have charisma, you're not going to lead anything. You're just not. So it starts with presence, which is rooted in charisma, but it's backed by actual skill. And I think the number one skill for a leader is probably communication. When I was in charge of a special forces team, there was never any doubt about my intent. There was never any doubt about where each of my men stood within the organization, within the team. So I think communication is the number one skill. I think you need to be a good manager. Like, if you don't have the basics of a calendar and planning and time management, then you're going to fail as a leader. And then, I think there's a ton more skills involved as well.
Well, it sounds like then communication and management of kind of yourself and your organization are pretty key. And charisma, which is more something you can embody. Some people can build it for themselves.
Yeah. The person that I am now is not who I was at 17 when I joined the Army. And I love what you said about embodying, right? I watched my leaders my entire career, and I said, I'm not going to do that. I'm going to do that. And over 21 years, that built the person that I am now. And that's a choice. That's a thousand, a million micro choices And the people that are not intentional, because I think being intentional is critical in development. And I was intentional about everything. I was watching everything. No, I didn't miss anything. The people that are not intentional and that are not looking at each of these as opportunities for growth, you have to embody the things that you like and that you want to demonstrate or display.
What type of advice do you give maybe some of the younger participants on the treks who maybe do want to be good leaders themselves, or, and they're younger? What would you tell someone of that age?
Yeah, I've played around with this a lot because I don't think most people like unsolicited advice, but at the same time, you're also at this trek that you've paid me for, right? So I don't know that you could call that unsolicited. One of my failures in my life is I've given too much unsolicited advice because I don't believe in that, right? Like, no one has ever given me advice and I was frustrated about it. I've never experienced that. I may not listen to them. That's fine. It's just advice, man. And it's not a command. So I never understood that. So I always thought, hey man, I'm helping these people out. But some people are just, they don't want it. So I'm very careful nowadays because I think in the past I've been a fixer, or I've tried to be. And of course, it's the old adage, you can't fix anyone. I mean, there's nuance there for sure. But now my approach is more exploratory. I try to get people to derive the advice themselves because it's just hard to hear sometimes. But I will say, the one thing that I tell a lot of young people is take the leap. People will be on their front porch at 80 years old thinking about the leap or the leaps that they never took. It might be a relationship. It might be a career choice. Maybe they wanted to travel, whatever it is. So many people live cowardly lives. And that's harsh, right? That's harsh to hear, but it's true. It's true, man.
It's blunt.
What's that?
It's blunt.
Yeah, for no doubt. So I don't tell these people like, hey, you're a coward, but I bring them to the idea that maybe they are being cowards. A lot of these people are talking about baby steps that they're not willing to take. Baby steps, and they don't know why. So having them work through that with you and say it out loud, I think that's step one for them. I don't know what necessarily step 2 and 3 are. I can help you get there just through, I guess, continued discussion, primarily focused around purpose and building a vision around that. But it's a challenge. And I think that that's probably the biggest constraint in general with humans not reaching their full potential, is not being willing to take the leap, not being 17 years old and saying, hey, I'm going to join the army and I'm going to go to Iraq. That's a huge leap, man. Like, people ask me all the time, how'd you do it? Like, I just did it. What do you mean? I didn't analyze this deeply. I knew that I wanted this thing at the end, which was like, I wanted to be a hero, not in the sense of coming home and like this parade for me and all. No. I wanted to be 80 years old, sitting on my front porch with my grandchildren who are looking at me going, dude, Grandpa Josh, he's a war hero. Like, that was the vision that got me through so much. And maybe that's a bit self-indulgent. That's probably kind of narcissistic. I don't know, but I think it's healthy. I think it's healthy when we have people who can pursue this vision that fulfills them, but it also gives back, because I think that giving back is critical.
Well, I mean, it does sound like you, from a young age, had a vision for yourself and could see the longer, bigger picture potentially, which, maybe not everybody has or can see. And so maybe that might be, it's more difficult to take a leap if you don't know, what am I leaping into, or why am I doing this sometimes? Like, what is your why? But if you know your why, it makes it a lot easier sometimes.
Knowing your why is everything. I think that our generation, I don't know, you look like you're probably my age, somewhere around there. We were told not to ask why. You always ask why. Why? Why is so critical. And you can't know your why if you don't ask why. So I think this is another theme, is curiosity. Curiosity is so important in growth. If you're not being curious, you're not going to find the why. But you have to possess boldness as well, because you may not ask why because of fear. Some people are born with that. I mean, I did some wild stuff as a kid that people like just can't wrap their head around, because I innately possess some level of boldness. I'm blessed for that. Hey, I lack a lot of other things, right? So let's play on our strengths. But you think that I knew that I would be married still today? No, of course not. Of course not. Especially 9 deployments later. What? No. There's no guarantee there. There's no predictability. That was a leap. I didn't need anything other than that vision, which was, that 80-year-old grandpa on the porch with an 80-year-old wife right there, like that vision. And so I think that a lot of people just lack the curiosity, especially this young generation. They spend far too much time being fed things instead of pursuing things. I mean, they pick up their phone and they're fed a feed, right? I mean, it's in the word. They're just fed all day. Here it is. No, you like this. You like this. This is what and it's an echo chamber. It's the same thing over and over. They're not going outside of that and exploring. So they'll never find out what, that vision is for them. They're just going to see the same thing over and over, and it's just going to keep flowing in. That's a big problem. Disconnecting from all of that is something that certainly needs to happen with a lot of these young people.
Well, it sounds like your tricks would be good for that, or being able to completely disengage from modern life or the phone or whatever it might be, and to just get out in wilderness and, be in nature, be with others, and not be bombarded by distraction.
Yeah, Katie, you're dead on. And that's one of the key components is you're going to be exposed to new ideas, new people, a new environment, and you're not going to have that feed in your hand. You tied that together well. You're a better salesman than me.
Well, you're welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, thank you for sharing your advice and wisdom around leadership, and also just your personal journey transitioning out of the military into civilian life and doing your own thing. It does sound like you're a risk taker, and that you can see the vision, and that maybe you can help model that for others as well, that you don't always need to know everything that's going to happen in between, as long as you can stay true to the end goal for you. And if you get there, great. And if you don't, then what did you learn along the way, maybe?
Dead on, because, one of my social media mentors, we don't even know each other, but something that he says is, it's either a lesson or a blessing. Right. And that's so simple. And it's like, it's stupid. It's funny. It's, especially the way he says it. And it's like, it's so true though. Right. If this thing does not teach me something, maybe it was not meant to be. And so for me, when I look at everything that I do, this is where Stoicism comes into play. Amor fati, the love of fate, love your fate. no matter what happens, things will be okay. And not in the sense of, really not in the cliche sense, because I've heard that 1,000 times when I was a kid. Oh, it'll all work out. No, we need to truly embrace this, and that whether it's your marriage that doesn't work out for XYZ, it's okay, man. It's okay. Number one, I'm not that special. Okay. I'm one of 7 billion people on this earth, and I'm really not that special. There are people who are in prison. There are people who are murdered, and horrible things have happened to. If my marriage doesn't work out, it's going to be devastating. It's going to be devastating in many ways, but you know what? I'm not that important. I'm not that special. It's okay. I will find a way through it, and it will be for the better. And so that's really my perspective on everything. I couldn't have done the job that I did for 21 years if I thought that I was that important. So I think that's a key component of that, is that you cannot be the center of the world and think that you're going to be happy.
So a sense of humility then, and not taking yourself that seriously.
Yes.
Well, kind of on that note, do you have any other advice or anything that sort of popped into your mind as we've been talking that you'd want to share with people from your own journey, or, whether that's transitioning from one career into another, or just kind of finding your own thing?
If you want to be able to influence people, you better go do some things that are respectable. You know what I'm saying? I couldn't be sitting here right now and giving advice. There it is, right? Giving advice to anyone if I didn't have some serious credibility. And that takes work. There's going to be a period in your life where you just grind. And then, hey, and you know what? You might die in the middle of that. Amor fati, right? If you're so blessed and fortunate as I've been, which again, it just feels surreal, and you get to make it to the other side after putting in all that work, give it back. Give it back to the people that gave it to you. Give it back to those that have done nothing for you. I wish that I could just do this all for free, but you gotta buy milk and bread. So
everybody's got to eat. Yeah.
Everybody's got to eat, man. But so yeah, go do the work. Just for any young, especially young person, go do the work for the next 20 years and then come talk to me. Or talk to me through the process. I'll help you.
Well, thank you so much. And I really appreciate you coming on and for being so open and willing to talk about your journey and what you are now doing. And thanks for giving it back, like you said.
Yeah, I really appreciate, this experience. We didn't talk over each other a single time, even with the delay. So it's been great. I look forward to speaking to you again.
To find out more about Josh and his work with Hero Games and Counterculture Solutions, be sure to check out the links in the episode description. I hope this episode was helpful. If you find yourself at a place in life where you're unclear about your direction or goals, check out takeabeatcoaching.com to learn more about a one-on-one coaching program designed to help you better navigate stress and indecision in order to move toward the life that you envision. Thanks for listening, and take care.